Stop calling yourself lazy. That's a lie. You're not lacking effort. You're lacking direction. If you struggle to stay motivated, it's not a discipline problem. It's a GPS problem. I'll show you how to find your true destination and make hard work feel effortless. Hey, let's just get one thing straight right off the bat. You are not lazy. I know. You've probably told yourself that a million times. Maybe you hit the snooze button 4 times this morning. Maybe the gym membership is collecting dust while you collect crumbs on the couch. Maybe you know you should be reading, working on that side project, or finally cleaning out that junk drawer, but you just don't. And then the self-talk starts, right? I'm so lazy. What's wrong with me? I have no discipline. Well, I'm here to tell you to throw that whole narrative out the window. It's simply not true. Think of it this way. You're holding a sophisticated, powerful sports car. Let's call it your potential. This car has a full tank of fuel, your energy, and it's perfectly capable of going 200 miles per hour. But here you are, idling in the driveway, maybe even nervously tapping the brakes. Why? Is it because the car is lazy? No. Is it because the engine is weak? Absolutely not. It's because you're sitting there thinking, where am I even supposed to drive this thing? You see, the real issue isn't a deficiency of effort. It's a deficiency of direction. You're not lazy, my friend. You're just lost. You don't know where you're ultimately going. And because of that, you don't know what all this hard work is actually for. And let me tell you, it is practically impossible for the human mind to justify doing hard, uncomfortable things when there's no clear, compelling reason on the other side. It just is. When that alarm goes off at 6 a.m., and it's cold, and your bed is warm, that little voice in your head, we all have it, is going to whisper sweet, convincing reasons to stay put. If you don't have a truly powerful, visceral answer to the question, why should I get out of bed right now? Then you're going to listen to the voice of comfort. Why wouldn't you? Staying in bed is easier than putting on freezing clothes and going to the gym. Eating the donut is easier than preparing a healthy breakfast. It's the path of least resistance. And this is where the real problem lives. You haven't clearly identified your point B. Right now, you're at point A, your current reality. This is where you are. But if you haven't taken the time to truly visualize, feel, and define your point B, your future destination, the person you are striving to become, then you have no navigational path. Without a destination, you're just wandering. You're adrift. And a person who is adrift is never going to put in the immense, consistent effort required to sail against the current. Why bother sailing at all if you're not sure which shore you're even aiming for? It's not enough to say, I want to be rich or I want to be healthy. Those are nice ideas, but they're too distant and abstract. They're like an old, faded postcard of some far-off beach town. It's a fairy tale that people tell you can have if you just work hard. But you need more than that. You need to connect to a deeper why. If you're struggling to wake up early, to stick to your diet, or to show up for your responsibilities, it's a direct consequence of not being deeply immersed in the future vision you have for yourself. You haven't felt it. You haven't smelled it. You haven't tasted the success and the lifestyle of that future person. So when the choice comes down to the comfort of now versus the struggle for a fuzzy, intangible later, the comfort wins every single time. It's like trying to build a spectacular, custom-designed skyscraper, but you've only drawn the foundation. The moment the construction gets tough, the weather turns bad, the costs rise. You bail because the image of the completed skyscraper isn't strong enough in your mind to justify the immediate struggle. We, as human beings, need direction. We crave it. Direction gives us meaning, it gives us purpose, and it provides the confidence to take the necessary, painful steps forward. It's what allows us to justify struggle and suffering. We are built to have a vision and go after it no matter what. But if you don't have the vision, if you don't have the point B, then what exactly are you doing all of this for? The good news is that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're not incapable, you're just missing the fundamental ingredient, the why. And that's what we're going to talk about next, because finding that why is the most powerful unlock you have. You need to find your inner GPS. That was a strong start. Now that we've established that the problem is a missing why, point B, and not laziness, the next step is to explain how to define that destination. The key is using the speaker's concept of aligning with one's innate identity. So if we agree that you're not lazy, you're just lost. And that the solution is finding your point B, the natural next question is, how do you actually find that destination? It's easy to say have a vision, But how do you paint a picture of a future self that is so compelling, so real, that it pulls you out of a warm bed on a cold morning? The answer is deceptively simple. You need to spend more time with yourself. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another platitude, let me explain why this is the most crucial step. You are not a blank slate. You were created with a unique identity, an innate energy, an essence. You can think of it like this. If your purpose in life is to grow into your full capability in mind, body, and spirit, if you view that process as watering your own plant, what your flower looks like when it's fully blossomed will be different from anyone else's. Why? Because you have a unique DNA, a unique vibration to your identity. The challenge is that in our current world, a world saturated with noise, notifications, and endless external input, we rarely give ourselves the space to actually feel that innate identity, that unique frequency. We're too busy grasping onto the external world, what others are doing, what social media is demanding, what the news is yelling about. And if you don't understand your unique frequency, you can't confidently choose a destination point B that genuinely aligns with you. You might choose someone else's destination. You might choose the destination that looks good on Instagram. But if it doesn't resonate with your deepest self, it will always feel like an effort, a chore, a costume you're forcing yourself to wear. That's why the motivation fades. It wasn't your dream to begin with. So, how do we understand this unique essence? You have to dedicate time to the intentional act of shifting your focus within. This is the non-negotiable step. I'm talking about sensory deprivation, or at least a light version of it. Dedicate just 30 minutes of your day to being completely alone with no screens, no light, and no sound. Just silence. What this simple but powerful act does is literally deprive your mind of anything external to grasp onto. When the mind has nothing outside to focus on, all of your mental focus, your consciousness, has no choice but to go inward. Most of us are so used to constantly running that our mind is like a fast-spinning hamster wheel of thought. When you step into that quiet state, the momentum of that wheel slowly begins to stop. It eventually comes to a standstill. And that's when the magic happens. When the momentum fades and the dust of daily distraction settles, you find yourself in a grounded, quiet, and still state of being. All the external noise and the frantic, autopilot thoughts start to fade away. And what is left? That is you. That is the essence. That is your energy. I can't fully describe this feeling in words, because we are beings built to feel truth more than we are to describe it. If you want to know who you are, you have to feel it, not read about it in a book or watch it in a video. This video is just the instruction manual. You have to implement the practice. If you spend enough time in this stillness consistently, you will slowly become aligned with this deep, resonant feeling of your innate identity. Your connection to it gets stronger, and the better you understand this inner energy, the more confidently you can look out into the world and start to identify things that resonate at the same frequency. The choices you make in the external world, the clothes you wear, the people you spend time with, the career you pursue, the destinations you travel to. You choose those things because you feel they align with you. You take your inner energy and you match it with something in the external world that has a similar vibe. The better you understand your identity, your energy, and your frequency, the more confidently and correctly you can make decisions in the real world. And that confidence is the bridge to building your compelling point B. That's excellent. We've established the lack of direction is the core problem, and that the solution is finding your unique identity through quiet reflection. Now we need to bridge the gap between that internal identity and the external vision. The speaker uses the powerful analogy of brand identity to make this leap. You've taken the first brave step. You've sought the silence and started feeling that inner energy, your unique frequency. But turning that feeling into a confident, concrete future vision takes structure. That's why I created my guide, 30 Days to a Better You. This isn't just a journal. It's a 30-day roadmap designed to help you decode that inner GPS, clearly define your point B, and start building your future self today. Don't spend another day lost. Click the link below and grab your copy now. Let's make that authentic vision a reality in the next 30 days. All right, so you've found the silence. You've sat with yourself and you've started to feel that deep, unique resonance. That energy, that frequency that is uniquely you. That's your inner GPS coming online. But how do we take that powerful, quiet feeling and translate it into a clear, actionable vision for the future? How does understanding your deepest identity help you decide what job to take, who to date, or what house you want to live in? Think about how you make decisions right now. Everything you choose in the external world. The music you listen to, the style of clothes you wear, the people you choose to spend your time with, the furniture you buy, the places you go on vacation. All of it is chosen because it feels like it aligns with you. In simple energy terms, you are taking your internal energy, your vibe, and you are matching it with something in the physical world that has a similar energy or vibe. When they match, you choose that thing. You feel good about that choice. The better you understand your identity, your frequency, the more confidently and correctly you can make these decisions in the real world. Your choices feel less like guesswork and more like a confident pull towards something that belongs to you. To make this leap from internal feeling to external vision, let's borrow an idea from the corporate world, brand identity. Think about some of the most popular companies in the world. Let's use Nike as our example. Nike has an incredibly strong brand identity. When you think of Nike, you don't just think of shoes. You think of a feeling. It's an energy of speed, performance, victory, and relentless effort. Nike's identity isn't just one thing. It's a collection of many things. The colors they use, the design of their stores, what their employees wear, their mission, their advertising, and the way they position themselves in the market. It all comes together to create one single, cohesive, powerful experience that you feel. Now, here's the cool part. Because you understand that feeling, that brand identity, so well, you can plug it into an industry where Nike has never operated. Imagine a Nike hotel. Even though Nike has never made a hotel, you can immediately envision it with pretty good accuracy. It wouldn't be cozy and rustic. It would probably be minimalist, hyper-modern, technologically advanced, with a huge state-of-the-art gym and healthy, protein-rich food options. You know what it would look like, what it would smell like, and what the atmosphere would feel like, because you understand the identity that drives all the choices. Contrast that with a hotel designed by, say, an old-school luxury brand like Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce's hotel would be opulent, quiet, gilded, and traditional. They would look drastically different, even though they are both just hotels. Why can you make that distinction instantly? Because of identity. This is the key to creating your point B. If you know your personal identity well enough, that innate energy you feel in the silence, you can use it like a blueprint and plug it into your future. You can look into the future and use your identity to design the best version of yourself, down to the smallest detail. How does that future self dress? Simple and powerful, eccentric and creative, understated and classic. What type of work resonates with that energy? Something public-facing and dynamic, something quiet, focused, and analytical. What kind of people do they associate with? People who challenge them, people who are supportive and nurturing, people who are high achievers. What does their living space look like? Is it minimalist and organized? Is it full of books and art? Is it large and ready for entertaining? All these tiny details, the car they drive, the places they go on vacation, even the scent they wear, have an energy, a resonance to them. When you align all those external choices with the unwavering, innate identity you found within, you paint a future vision that is not just a fairy tale, but a perfectly tailored reflection of your true self. And that connection, the alignment between your innate identity and the future you've designed based on it, that is the powerful magnetic force that pulls you from point A to point B. It's what transforms difficult actions into exciting, mandatory steps on your path. We've established that the motivation problem is a lack of direction, and that the path to direction is discovering one's innate identity in her GPS and using the brand identity test to design a resonant point B. Now, the final two topics need to focus on the powerful emotional and psychological transformation that occurs when this alignment is achieved and the resulting effortless action. We've done the hard work of going inward, sitting in the silence, and discovering that foundational energy, that innate identity that is uniquely yours. We then use the brand identity test to project that identity onto a future version of yourself, meticulously designing your point B, from the career you love to the way your room is decorated. Now, let's talk about the profound shift that happens when you bring those two things together, your innate identity right now and the clearly envisioned future self. When you return to that quiet, distraction-free state, The one where the dust settles and the noise fades. You are no longer just sitting in silence. You are sitting in the nexus point of time. You are right here, right now, deeply feeling your true essence. And from that grounded state, you can deliberately and confidently look into the future you have painted. What happens next is an alignment. You tie a direct, tangible connection between the identity you experience and feel today and the future you've envisioned. This connection isn't just a goal list or a vision board. It is your true point A to point B bridge. Think about how this changes everything. Before this process, doing a difficult thing, like waking up at 5 a.m., felt like an act of self-punishment. It was a struggle against yourself, pushing your present, comfortable self toward an abstract, fuzzy goal. That's why you always lost the battle. But now it's different. Now, waking up at 5 a.m. isn't punishment. It's a mandatory, exhilarating step toward becoming the person who embodies the energy you just felt in the silence. It becomes an act of alignment. When you know your brand identity, your true self, and you know the aesthetic of your future self, the house, the job, the clothing, the demeanor, every action you take in the present moment is a vote for that future version. When you choose a healthy meal, you are aligning with the powerful, disciplined future self. When you spend an hour learning a new skill instead of scrolling, you are embodying the focused, growth-oriented future self. When you choose to go to the gym, you are wearing the energy of the strong, high-performance future self. You stop operating from a place of I should do this, which is weak, and start operating from a place of I am this person, which is magnetic. I can tell you from personal experience, I used to be what you might call a lazy individual. But the moment I started this process, the moment I understood this alignment, everything changed. I suddenly became confident in every decision I made because every step was taking me closer to a destination that was perfectly tailored for me. With every action I took toward that point B, I could feel myself embodying my true self more and more. And this is the incredible shift. All those things you knew you should be doing, but constantly avoided, they stop being chores and start becoming enticing. They become exciting. They become easy. They feel effortless. They flow like water. What stops you right now is that internal voice of comfort, the one that justifies staying small and staying safe. But when you create this powerful magnetic alignment between your identity and your vision, that voice of comfort loses all its footing. It has nothing left to stand on. You have a reason, a profound and deeply felt why, that obliterates the justification for mediocrity. You've stripped the power from procrastination and discomfort and replaced it with purpose. This process, this alignment between the divine identity God gave you and the future you paint for yourself, is what makes you naturally, joyfully take the steps closer to your destiny. You're not forcing yourself forward. You're being pulled forward by the authentic self you are striving to become. It's a complete game changer. This is the final, crucial step, describing the state of effortless action flow that results from the alignment achieved in the previous topics and summarizing the core message. We've reached the final destination of our map. We started out lost, convinced we were lazy. We discovered our true, innate identity in the silence. We used that identity to design an authentic, magnetic future self, our point B. And in the last topic, we tied those 2 points together, creating a powerful, irresistible alignment. Now let's talk about the incredible, tangible result of that process, entering the flow state. What happens when you are pulled forward by a vision that is perfectly aligned with who you fundamentally are? You stop experiencing friction. Think back to those daily struggles, the battle with the alarm clock, the negotiation over whether to work out, the internal debate about eating the junk food. These struggles are the sound of your inner self and your desired future self being out of sync. It's like trying to drive a car when the wheels are pointing in one direction, but the engine is pulling you in another. You waste massive amounts of energy just fighting yourself. But once you align your identity with your vision, that fighting stops. Your efforts suddenly become like water flowing downhill. They become easy, they become natural, they become effortless. This doesn't mean the actions themselves are easy. Waking up at 5 a.m. in the cold is still physically difficult. Launching a new business is still mentally taxing. But the resistance to doing those things vanishes. The effort is still required. But the will to apply that effort is now so strong and so compelling that the difficulty of the task is eclipsed by the excitement of the transformation. You stop thinking, this is hard, I don't want to do this. Instead, you start thinking, this is exactly what the strong, focused future me does. You are no longer performing a task. You are embodying an identity. You are simply flowing along the path of least resistance toward the authentic self you are becoming. When you reach this flow state, where your daily actions and your ultimate identity are seamlessly integrated. You become unstoppable. The only thing that was stopping you before was that internal voice of doubt, the one that used your lack of a why as a justification to stay comfortable. Now, that voice has no evidence. It has no power. It simply fades away because you are too busy taking action that feels right, feels necessary, and feels exciting. This process doesn't just make you more productive, it completely transforms your confidence. Before, you were taking random steps, hoping they were right. Now every single step, from your morning routine to your major career choice, is a confident, informed decision because it resonates with your innate truth. You become decisive, grounded, and focused. And the pace of your transformation, that increases exponentially. When you stop fighting yourself and start flowing with your true potential, you achieve things at a pace you probably didn't think was possible. So, let's bring it back to the very beginning, to that core message. You are not lazy. You are not fundamentally weak or incapable. You were just missing the why. You were just lost on the map. By implementing the steps we've talked about, by carving out the silence, discovering your true, unique identity, and designing a future that perfectly aligns with that identity, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, direction. Now you know where you're going. Now you have the magnetic point B pulling you forward. Now you are confident in your steps. Now you are flowing. My hope is that after watching this, you feel less lost and more energized. This isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of life that will change your reality in real time. I'm truly excited to see what your journey from point A to your authentic point B looks like. Thank you for taking the time to listen.